Hello fellow nerds and welcome to Dragon Week. This week you've gotten to see videos from across the TTRPG community thanks to this awesome event being put on by Pointy Hat Ginny, and now I'm throwing my hat into the ring. But let's quickly establish what is Dragon Week. Well, you see, it's more or less an ongoing tradition now at this point. It started last year after Kraken Week. Every year they're putting on an event that's themed around a different monster. This year it's dragons. And there's going to be playlists for each day this week relating to all sorts of dragon-related content being put out by the TTRPG community. And it's a great chance for people to share their channels and make cool stuff for people to get for 100% free. So, after Kraken Week last year though, I wanted to get on the action. My initial plan with my channel actually was to try and put out art, storytelling, and TTRPG content, and now I'm finally doing that. But you're probably wondering, because obviously you've seen in the thumbnail, you've read the title. So, why a lead dragon? Well, if you look into the monster manual, you'll probably notice that every chromatic dragon seems to have a metallic counterpart, except for the lead dragon. Why is that? Why are there no poison-spewing dragons like the green dragon within the metallic family? And, well, I can't say for certain, but probably something has to do with the fact that lead's kinda broken in D&D. Because, you see, while in real life it's a neurotoxin, it replaces certain chemicals and nutrients needed for your brain to develop properly. Hence the rise in crime rates during the years that cities still have widespread use of lead pipes and a buffer afterwards, whereas because brains take time to develop. The interesting thing about lead in D&D, however, is that it also serves as a neutralizer to many spells. And if we were to roll with that logic, well, lead has natural anti-magic properties. Properties that most people overlook, albeit, but they're there. And they have the potential to be devastating. I mean, like, seriously, if you're not a sorcerer and you get hit with, like, a lead bullet, well, you might as well be screwed, because there goes half your arcana. Sorcerers can, like, recharge that with sorcery points, but still, like, your magic has just gone down the drain, man. But why wouldn't there be a dragon like that? I mean, come on, you'd think with how much Gary Gygax canonically hates his players, there might have been something like that at some point during D&D's history, but nope. Absolutely nothing. So, while there's plenty of whole concepts for lead dragons running around D&D Beyond, and a lot of them do tie into the whole poison breath neurotoxin thing that lead has, I wanted to take things a step further with my own version, because I don't think there's anything currently out there that's quite like this. So if you like what you're hearing about, or just want some fun anti-magic spells and magic items to use in your campaign, and there's a link in the description where you can find a PDF that you can download for 100% free with all sorts of wonderful lead dragon resources for your table. I spent a lot of time trying to put all this together and balancing it and the final few weeks of college for my second semester, so I'd really appreciate it if you checked it out. Maybe leave a like, comment, subscribe. It does seriously help in boosting the channel. I'm hoping that Dragon Week is going to be able to do a little bit to help me get my channel to where I want to be. As that's sort of kind of the fun of the week, you know? It's a chance for us all to get together and make cool stuff to share with each other. And I most certainly love doing that. That's something that I started this channel for. And so, well, about the lead dragon, and right, I originally came up with this whole thing for a module I referred to as Expeditions from the Chronicler's Enclave. It was meant to be an anthology of different adventures. It was themed around different beasts. It's where you would play as members of the Chronicler's Enclave, which was started by a character of mine named Cougar, who is a beast chronicler. One of my favorite types of characters in fiction. I love people who are naturally curious. I like that sort of thing. I like reading about those sorts of people. Well, and I wanted to make an adventure or a series based around uncovering secrets of all sorts of different creatures. And the anti-magic dragon, or lead dragon, as you are seeing being drawn right now, which, yes, it does look similar to the gold dragon. That's intentional. If you know anything about alchemy, the original idea was that we could turn lead into gold. Well, because the two are relatively close on the periodic table and have similar properties. And so I decided to lean into that a little bit, and it does actually tie into some of the lore theories about why these guys are the way that they are. No one really knows. There are some that speculate they could be Ferris dragons that escaped the war, or were never part of the war in the first place. And just went under the radar because, well, these guys are antisocial. They don't really care for other sentient life. They just sort of go about their own in the Underdark. It's what they do. And so my thought process in making these guys, so I wanted to have an intimidating dragon to go into that adventure. And so why not have a dragon that does stuff to magic? It would result in a very threatening beast for the party to encounter, or potentially something that could, TPK everyone, but that's neither here nor there. Any and all TPKs that result out of the use of this dragon and fall on the fault of the perpetrator. Please do not sue me if your party does end up getting TPK'd due to their own poor actions, or your own poor thought process of, hey, let's throw one of these guys at my party as a random encounter. Don't do that. Especially not the Ancient One. The Ancient One will mess your party up big time. However, using these guys as an interesting plot piece, this could be a unique way of doing this, as a lot of cities, especially in the Underdark, rely on magic to function. Having to negotiate with these extremely apathetic dragons could make for a really interesting plotline in your campaign. But what can they do? Well, they have poison breath, as you would expect from a lead dragon, but they also have anti-magic breath when they reach their young state. It's alongside other anti-magic based effects that develop as they grow older. And you can experience all of these set effects, if you were to include it into an adventure as potentially a BBEG, or maybe something that just the party's going to have to negotiate with whatever floats your boat. My hope is that this could provide your campaign with an interesting creature to, sort of be existing on the background, or even being a central player. These guys don't exactly like other sentient creatures, but oh man, they sure do hoard a lot of Mithral, and Well, Mithral's a pretty useful substance. So are the gemstones that they hoard, but they also eat those gemstones. Speaking of which, you might notice I'm putting some purple highlights on the dragon here in this one. And, my original thought process when I was doing this piece, I wanted to incorporate some crystals into like one of the walls nearby, emanating off a glow onto the dragon, so like, having the purple glow there. I never ended up including the crystals. In fact, I cut the footage of me attempting to try and make that work, but it still came out really nice. I like what I did with the piece, and I like the posing. And I enjoy doing dynamic posing for my characters, and something about doing a dragon as opposed to a humanoid this time around, oh man, it just turned out really well. I enjoyed it a lot. I had a lot of fun with this piece. I hope you guys are enjoying watching this thing get drawn as I drone on about the whole, well, hey, there's this cool dragon that I made that could very well act as a nice murder hobo deterrent. And if you know, you know. Oh, I mean, in a city that doesn't rely on magic could hypothetically make a deal with the dragon to allow it to stay underneath the city and get free gemstones. Boons in exchange for protection from powerful spellcasters. I mean, why not, right? It would be an interesting piece of world building. And there's plenty more like that, as well as several theories about their origins and interesting details about how their young lives and stuff like that within the PDF. It's quite a bit to talk about here, and I'm not going to be able to do it full justice. Yes, but I've created several magic items and spells themed around the dragon and its anti-magic capabilities. I've created half-dragons for the anti-magic dragon, as these things can be nicknamed thanks to those properties. Half-dragons, those weird dragonborn but not dragonborn creatures in the monster manual. Oh, that no one really talks much about, but like they're there. And there's this whole like bathing in dragon's blood thing that you can do to become one. I'm surprised that wasn't in Fispins, which, by the way, great book, love it. And I did end up taking a lot of inspiration from how it formatted things to craft the PDF. I wanted to try and make things look as professional, as nice, and give a lot of extra details for you guys, so that way you can all have something really cool to go into your campaign. Interesting thing about the lead dragons, these guys are not exactly shiny. In fact, they get duller as they age, and it really sort of makes them look a lot less prominent. In fact, they start to blend in with the environment around them as they age, to the point of where here the ancient category has a false appearance trait. When surrounded by stone and remaining stationary, yeah, these guys are pretty much indistinguishable from another rock formation. Deal with that information what you will. I like what I did with the environment in this piece. I really enjoyed having the dragon on those rocks, clinging to them and sort of wrapping around them. Sort of looking like he was watching something and not necessarily taking part in things, because that's pretty on par with what they do. They are more, well, they don't really try and observe sentient life, but like when they're around them, yeah, they will. They'll often watch from afar, not getting involved unless they feel threatened or something like that. Yeah, again, these guys are pretty antisocial. They don't really care for people. But they do have Zorn that they keep around. That weird X monster for the monster manual. Well, and yet I find the Zorn kind of cute, almost. I wish I had an excuse to make use of them more. With these guys, I guess I do now. Yeah, so the Zorn also eat gemstones, and after the dragon spends enough time living, sometimes they'll be like, hey, oh, these guys are also just trying to survive, and like, they're not super duper sentient. Might as well just let them hang around. They can gather some gemstones for me, and I can eat some of them, but also share some of my hoard with them, because lead dragons, let's be honest, since they don't really care for much for sentient life, they also don't really care much for wealth. Like, they don't actually hoard wealth. The only things that they hoard are gemstones, which they eat. So they hoard their food supply, and they hoard Mithral because even paranoia can trump apathy. Yeah. They don't really need to hoard much of anything else. But it looks like I'm running low on time now. So I will leave you with that. Please be sure to check out the PDF and also go and watch some of the other awesome Dragon Week stuff. I'm sure Pointy Hat's video is going to be great. And I've already seen Bob Worldbuilder's video, and I'm planning on watching JD's here soon. As well as plenty of other pieces of content that are going to be coming out today and have already come out in the past few weeks. With all that being said, I hope you enjoy this not exactly Monster of the Week sort of thing, but my first step into the TTRPG design on YouTube. There's plenty more to come in the future. This is only the beginning, and I have lots more in mind. But for now, that's where I'm gonna leave things off. So please enjoy the last bit of this video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.